Hi, it's Vic. Welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be taking you through the process of how I created this Halloween card. So to start with, I have these Time for Tea Slimline dies, so I'm using the Slimline Scallops die here, and I'm going to be die cutting that scallop piece, and then out of the postage stamp frames die, I'm going to be die cutting the rectangle. So I'm just going ahead and I'm just trimming down some cardstock, and then I'm also going to be using some white card on that rectangle die, and I'm die cutting this piece twice, so I'm going to end up with two pieces of the white card. Next, from that scalloped frames die, I'm going to be using the heart. So what I'm doing here, I'm just placing the die on top of the rectangle piece, and I'm just securing that down with some washi tape, and then I'm going to run it through my die cutting machine. So I'm going to do this 3 times, and then I'm moving the die as I go along. So once my die cutting's finished, I'm going to do some heat embossing. So I'm using the Spooktacular stamp set, and I've got that large circle stamp there. So I'm going to go ahead and use my Versamark ink, and I'm going to be stamping this piece of card 3 times using that circle. So as you can see in the video, you can't quite see where I've stamped because it doesn't pick up on screen, but I can see it in real life. So I'm just going ahead and placing that down 3 times. And now I've got some Wow embossing powder, and I'm using Earthtone Olive. It reminded me of Halloween. So now you can see where that heat embossing is taking place. So I've just used my heat gun to heat set this. And now I have my beautiful blender brushes, so I'm going to be doing some emboss resist. So I've got some mustard seed, so I'm going ahead and placing this all over that piece of card using my blender brush. And then I have some spiced marmalade, so I'm just going around the edges with this just to give it a little bit more colour. I liked using these colours because they're Halloween colours. So now I've got an old rag, so I'm going to go ahead and wipe this because this will pick up the ink that's gone on top of the embossing powder. So that piece that I've just gone over with the inks, that's for the back piece of the card, so this is the front piece. So again, I'm doing some more ink blending, so I'm using Twisted Citron, and I'm going all over my white card with this, and then I've got some cracked pistachio, so I'm going to go around the edges with this. And again, they're Halloween colours. I wanted to make a nice bright Halloween card, and I love Halloween cards because you really get to go wild with your colours, which I just love. So now I've got some black soot ink. This is distress ink, and I've just mixed it with some water, and I'm just adding some splatters of ink to this front panel. And now I'm going to be moving on to the shaker part. So here I've got some acetate, so I'm just placing that front panel down, and I've got a pair of scissors, and I'm just going to roughly cut behind the front panel just to get a rough idea of where I need to cut. And to make sure that my acetate is nice and firm and is not going to fall apart, I'm using some double-sided tape. So I'm just going to flip this over and apply some double-sided tape around the outer edges, and then I'm going to pop the acetate piece over this. And now I'm moving on to the foam pad part. So I have these really thick foam pads, so I'm just going to quickly trim these down. So when I make a shaker card, I always start at the top, and I make sure that the foam pads are touching each other. If you leave any gaps, your sequins are going to come flying out. So you can leave it like this, or if you want to add different coloured sequins, you just need to add a couple more foam pads in between where them dies are, which is what I've done here. So now I'm just going to remove the backing off them foam pads. I find this easier to do because if you fill up your shaker card with the sequins and then you need to go and take the backing paper off, they always come pinging out and get stuck to the foam. So now I'm just adding the colours that I want into them heart pieces, and I'm using some different coloured sequins here, and then I've got that back piece that I heat embossed, and I'm just placing that over the top, and that is the shaker part of the card complete. So now I'm moving on to my slimline card base. So I have an A4 piece of card. I'm trimming this at 7 inches, and then I'm going to go ahead and score this at 3.5 inches, and that's the card size I use for my slimline cards. And this is Papermilldirect plain black card, so it's nice and thick. So now I have my card base, I've got that purple scalloped die cut piece and then my shaker piece. So I'm going to go ahead and pop these together, and I'm just using PVA glue to adhere that purple piece. And then for the shaker piece, I wanted this popping up, so I'm adding some foam pads to the back of this. And now I'm moving on to my images. So I'm going to be using the Spooky Circle Tag stamp set. So these images that you can see on screen come in a circle, but I've just cut around that, and I've gone ahead and die cut a Happy Halloween die for my sentiment. So I'm just using a purple and black Copic marker just to colour the sentiment in. And the sentiment was die cut using my silhouette machine, so it's an SVG file. So I wanted to add some more elements to my card. I thought these pumpkins would look really cute, so I've gone ahead and stamped up the images and coloured them in, and now I'm just placing the pumpkins and the cats on the card. I love these cats, they're so sweet, and I love the little witch's hat. I think it's a really fun image to use for your Halloween cards. And now I'm just adding PVA glue behind that sentiment, and I've popped my acrylic block on there to make sure it's nice and secure. And then I'm going to go ahead and just adhere down these little ghosts, so I've put them behind the cats. And that is our Halloween shaker card complete. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know if you did, and thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye.